This is the new instant classic Uncle Peckerhead. So this was a movie that I saw the name Uncle Peckerhead, and I don't know if it's my juvenile sense of humor or whatnot, but I just started laughing. And then I saw that it had a horror background behind it, blood splatters and all like the classic staples of the horror genre. I was like, I got to watch this movie. I mean, it might be terrible, but I still have to watch just for the name alone. So we were sort of talking about earlier, how much of a factor do you think does a name like that play into somebody watching it? Just for maybe like shits and giggles, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, full disclosure, I have not seen Uncle Peckerhead. And it's not because I didn't want to see it. It's I did a search on my typical platforms and actually couldn't find it, but it is out there. But it is true, and it actually goes with everything. There are different components that people don't really think about. It's like your cover art, the title, how you describe it, all the little things. Because if you think about it from a different perspective, you think about like I'm just an audience guy. I'm just a user. I'm half drunk, sitting on the couch. I'm looking for a movie to watch, and I'm scrolling through stuff. What's going to catch my attention? And it is true that like a good film title, if I'm in the mood for something like that, is going to stand out. And Uncle Peckerhead is it's an attention grabber. I don't disagree with having
Mm-hmm.
over the top titles that are going to grab attention.
Well, and I'm gonna at least give it like, I'm gonna at least give it like probably like 10, 20 minutes. If I can't watch any more of it, I'll just tune out. But it's gonna grab my attention enough for to at least give it 10 courtesy minutes, 10 to 20 courtesy minutes. And I do believe that you probably did not get Uncle Peckerhead in Canada because you have health care there, and in return we get Uncle Peckerhead.
It's an
So
even trade off. It's an
yes.
even trade. But the actually, I mean, what I think it actually is, and I mean, we were also talking about before. It's about licensing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's all these different platforms out there. Like where up here we have Crave and Super Channel and a bunch of other stuff, which you guys don't have. And when a sales agent is selling a project, especially an indie project where they're taking any dollar they could possibly get, they'll sell off little chunks for like whatever. It's like, oh, I got to pay $10,000 or $5,000 for the rights for Canada, and it's some random platform that isn't in the States. So what happens is if Prime gets it, then they look at the contract and they're like, oh, we don't actually have the rights in Canada. Then they block it out. That's why you get these countries. It's the same way as like how pre-sales used to work, which I think they still do pre-sales, but they'd sell off different territories, and when someone lands the big contract, they'll look at it and be like, oh, can't broadcast it in Canada, can't broadcast it in France, can't, and it's a contract thing. So it was funny that you were like, hey, watch Uncle Peckerhead, and I actually searched around and for the life of me
Yeah.
couldn't find it anywhere. But I don't that's probably the opposite problem, where they're like sold the rights to the States, and they're like, okay, yeah, we want to get it in Canada too. It's like, oh yeah, that's an additional, $5,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to spend that.
Yeah.
No.
But
Not worth it. Not worth it.
oh, so Uncle Peckerhead, I thought this was going to be a movie that just exploited this name that would make people laugh and watch on a drunk evening. But there was so much more to it that I'm pleasantly admit to say, and it's pretty entertaining too. It's about an hour and 40 minutes long. It kept me entertained all the way through.
An hour and 40 minutes. That's
Yeah,
actually they went above and beyond
they
there.
did. Yeah,
Like it's totally acceptable to be like 70 minutes right now.
yeah. So yeah, that's true. So this movie is essentially about. It's kind of like if you take like a road trip movie. It's sort of like this band, and it's like this punk rock band, and they're trying to make it, and they leave their jobs behind and everything. They put everything on the line to go on this road trip to go on a tour, and they don't have enough budget for a van, so they meet this crazy guy whose name is Uncle Peckerhead, and he tells them that he's living in the van and it's his home for him, but he will take them with him. He'll drive them around and he'll be a roadie, as long as they buy him some food every now and then, and just sort of like he's their companion as well too. So then it sort of turns into this kind of a buddy movie where he's with all the companions, and like they start to like grow a friendship for each other. But then they find out that he starts murdering people. He turns into a demon like right around midnight, and he has to take some medication to sort of calm him down and have people watch him. But he just keeps going out of control, and they have to keep forgiving him as they keep going to their places and chasing like the big tour at the end of the show. But there's also a few like trauma throwbacks, but they spin and they do have clips from Toxic Avenger 2 in there, so you can see where some of the influences came in. But they actually did a great job writing the script though and casting. So this is a
But
pretty.
it's not actually a trauma film though, is it?
It's not, no, no. But they do have a clip from a trauma movie in there, and there are some of the gore moments that are very trauma-esque with the over-the-top way that they show the gore in there. But this was a very pleasantly surprising horror hybrid of indie road movie, buddy comedy, and sort of like trauma splatter flick a little bit. So it's definitely worth watching.
It's realistically that, and we'll actually talk about it when we talk about the Dead Harvey and the history of it when we used to get screener after screener. Half the battle is if you can have a movie that I can sit down with a 12-pack of Bud Light and just be entertained, regardless of the quality of it, be entertained. That's really the battle that you're trying to win here. And this is like, it goes to show it's a road trip. We're throwing a bunch of gore. There's a show in it. I mean, I actually thought of I had an idea at one point that what we should be doing with all these indie films is they should have accompanying drinking games, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like, so it's not about like sitting down and, being serious and watching your film here. It's like, go watch it with a bunch of buddies, have a drink, have a drinking game around it. By the end of it, this is supposed to be entertaining, not as just a film on its own. Like, this is supposed to be a fun experience that you can drink to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like Uncle Peckerhead, which now I'm going to have to find. I'm just going to have to find.